Making sure your kids are playing sports safer while being faster and stronger could come down to their serum level of vitamin D. But more medical studies are showing it is not just about the sun. In fact, here now, Dr. Frank Dawson, MedStar Franklin Square Sports Medicine is here. And you've got a long history in pediatrics, too. So you are adults to pediatrician. Let's talk about vitamin D. It's the sun. You just send your kids out in the sun and they get their vitamin D, right?
We used to think that. That is correct. But we have found with sun avoidance behavior and the concern for skin cancer in recent decades that people are avoiding the sun as well as applying a lot of sunblock, and that does affect absorption and affect your vitamin D levels.
So 10, 15 years ago is when it really started changing. That's when we started seeing the education on skin cancer. So we block it. So then how do you do it? Because a lot of people are saying, oh, it's because kids are inside playing video games and they're not outside in the sun. But really, athletes are seeing it too, the ones that are out in the sun.
It is true. We've seen trends that people that live in sunnier states like California and Florida certainly have higher serum levels. So sun avoidance is part of it. But spending a lot of time in the sun is not enough to raise your levels if you're insufficient. And that's where dietary and supplementation come into play.
A lot more studies are focusing on sports because of physical harm that could happen, especially with children. So when you start looking at this, you're seeing, you know what, stress factors are coming out of track and field and a lot of different sports. And it's because of bone and muscles related to the bones, and that's how it ties into vitamin D? Yes.
A recent study showed that over 50% of the athletes at the NFL Combine were actually insufficient. So you're talking about the highest level athletes. So when you go back to the regular population of children athletes, a lot of them are going to be insufficient. So you have to think of how much time does my child spend out time? Are they eating dietary fortified with vitamin D, such as cereals, grains, juices, and milk? And if all of that's taken place, do they need to consider supplementation supervised by a physician?
Vitamin D is twofold then. I mean, because not only is it helping, we're learning a lot more about vitamin D. So tell us how it's more so just, okay, get your vitamin D through the sun or drink some milk. It's not just your bone structure, but how does it help with the muscles and then fight diseases?
So for a long time, we've known that vitamin D was important with the calcium structure of your bones, but what we're finding now is vitamin D is extremely important with the structure of your muscles as well, and the way your muscles utilize energy. So if you're vitamin D sufficient, your muscles are not only stronger, but they have increased stamina.
How do we know how much to give our child vitamin D? Because I know you can go over too much. If you start popping supplements from vitamin D, you can go over and get vitamin D toxicity. Very, very rare, but it can happen.
That is true. One of the things you just have to have is a high level of suspicion. If you see your child being frequently susceptible to injuries or suffering from fatigue at a level that other children aren't, you may want to think that something's abnormal with their vitamins or electrolytes. So have them seen by a doctor, and they can get a simple blood test to tell their vitamin D level.
And then you prescribe the amount they need.
Absolutely.
It's easy. Thank you very much, Dr. Dawson. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. All right, well, that's exactly what we found out when we're talking about playing sports outside in the sun. It looks like we're going to have a great week for that because it looks like rain, I believe we're going to John the Myers. Rain is only on the days that the O's are off this week. Is that right?